Hola, welcome to the Money Chisme podcast. I am your host, Violeta, a first generation Mexican immigrant. I am a real estate investor and business owner, pero let me tell you, just like other first gens, I was not taught much about personal finance. And I mean, needless to say, I was bien perdida, I was so lost, and I struggled a lot in my personal finance journey. And that's why I created the Money Chisme podcast, where each week I bring you the chisme on how to manage and grow your money and other money talks to help you to kick ass with your finances. All right, so let's get into this week's Money Chisme. Hola, welcome to another episode of the Money Chisme podcast. And today I have a special guest, a mortgage broker, Lenin Espinoza, who is here to give us the details, give us the chisme on, what a mortgage broker is and, how you can start your own business and, gain financial freedom and independence. So, Lenin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, Violet, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come into your podcast. So my background is I'm originally from Nicaragua, and we came to the United States, and I am grateful. I'm prior Navy, prior service. The only different at that time I wasn't a U.S. citizen, so I joined in, as a resident. I went as an E1 and worked my way up. And during deployments, I kept thinking, I'm not making enough money here. What am I doing? And then I realized, the only way to become financially free is to, becoming an entrepreneur. To make a long story short, I completed my enlistment, got out, did a few years in the reserve, went to college, went to Northridge. Right after the Navy, I started, selling auto insurance. I got married. That's the one thing I wanted when I was in service, have a family, long deployments. The time I went in, it was 9 months deployments. Wow. That was 1999 to 2003. Fast forwarding, now we have COVID. I got COVID. I was in bad shape, and I figured, if something happened to me, how am I going to talk to my siblings or to my kids or to my wife? Once you're gone, you're gone. So the idea of writing the book came up. It's like, what, I should probably write a book. And I wrote The Secret Sauce to Success. And during COVID, it took me a whole year. It's very difficult because, for me, English is a second language. I got my bachelor, I got my master from Northridge. Now I could write as well as anybody else. For the longest, I tried to lose the accent, and my accent is not going anywhere. Arnold Schwarzenegger, his accent isn't going anywhere. How I got into the mortgage industry during COVID, I'm like, what am I going to do? We need money. I have my business background. What I did in 18 months, it took me 20 years to figure it out. And I'm talking about growing financially. I could have stayed in the military. I could have got my retirement. I could have, stayed there, go to the postal service. But the amount of money that you can make to provide for your family, for your loved one, only you being in charge of your destiny, it's going to bring you that satisfaction. What I did in the book was to break it down in steps to follow. What steps you can follow to become, successful. And not just mortgages, in anything you do in life. It all comes down to, doing a self-reflection, figuring out what you need to do, define, what do you want to do. On my book, I cover the turning point in my life when, I was, all my benefits run out, the post-GI Bill, the GI Bill, and unemployment. I had nowhere else to turn. I got to the point that I couldn't provide anymore, financially. I was done. I was finished. I hit bottom, and I know there's many out there, or your listeners, that they've been there. I sit with clients that they're financially stable, they have income, and they're not satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I have sat with clients on my situation. They don't have nowhere to go, but there's always it's like a spark or a desire that I'm here to do more. I don't know how to say it, but there is something that you gotta be doing something more. On my personal experience, it's just I didn't have any more money. No one
Yeah.
else. I reached out to the VA. Remember, this is 2003, 2004. The VA is not what it is right now. Right
Yeah.
now, there's so much help. I went there. I went through the reserve, and the only option was to reenlist.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was like, wow, another 9 months deployment.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the divorce ratio in the Navy is, I don't want to go there. I was in debt. You have no idea. I had so many credit card debts, and I decided to take charge of me. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's like that one when in the military, right? They used to tell us, "Hey, who signed the contract? Who
Mm-hmm.
forced you to sign the contract?"
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did. So to me, it was like, who got in so much debt? Who overextended?
Mm-hmm.
Who overexpended? It was no one else but me to blame. I took a job at Kaiser. I got to become the best. I got to be the best. When I was in the Navy, I was the best sailor. My evals were in the force. No one
Mm-hmm.
else on our unit had evals as high as I did. Like 6 medals, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
The PFT, I was a runner. I always excelled in everything,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't excel on providing to my family. And then I learned to do what I always done, to
Mm-hmm.
believe that I could do better. And that's one of the ingredients of my book. Before anything, you have to believe you can be the best. You
Yeah.
have to believe you can get ahead. Got into Kaiser. I was their top enrollment specialist for 2 years. You can Google my name. You can see Lenin Espinoza, Kaiser Permanente.
Mm-hmm.
The executive team on Kaiser even took me to Oakland because they wanted to find out the secret sauce.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you different than everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the idea of my book came out, The Secret Sauce to Success. Yes, it is on mortgages because I made it my money on mortgages.
Yeah.
But the secret sauce is in anything that you do. You could be an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor. I talk about all these professions in my book. And after that, I found a passion for education. I found my purpose on helping people achieve their dreams,
Mm-hmm.
which is buying a house. I started in the business of auto insurance. When the recession hit, the people started losing their houses. I couldn't help them out, so I became a
Mm-hmm.
realtor. I was losing my house too
Mm-hmm.
because of the 80/20 loan. And everywhere I seek for help, Violet,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted me to file bankruptcy. That will solve all the problems. And, I'm not that type of man. I remember I spoke with my wife and I told her, you know what, we got into this mess ourselves. I started calling the credit cards, and you'll be surprised. When you talk to them, honesty always comes forward, and they were willing to help. We reached settlement statements. I never did a debt consolidation. I don't believe in that. I believe in dealing with each problem at a time, and then I rebuilt. Luckily I didn't lose my condominium. We did a loan modification, and then I decided to help other people. And my surprise, once I took the real estate broker exam, I couldn't do modifications either because by then the laws changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have new laws. Now we have new regulations. Now we have a new administration. And then I tried to sell houses, and my clients wouldn't qualify because they were in the same situation I was.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do, Violet? I decided to go and become a mortgage broker. What's the difference of the mortgage broker?
Mm-hmm.
You can be a loan officer. A loan officer will work for a mortgage broker. When I got out of the military, when I got out of the Navy, I used the GI to get my bachelor's, and then I went to get my master's at Northridge. So I was exempt from being a real estate agent or a loan officer, I could just take the test to become, a broker.
Mm-hmm.
Now they changed the rules. Now you have to work for someone else for 2 years. The loan officer work for the mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker has different contracts, like the auto dealership. They have different lenders that they could place the risk. You also have direct lenders like U.S. Bank, Bank of America, which I have a contract with them too, but they cater for certain type of clients. They call them the 8 paper. The clients that they have, good FICO score, good financials, like Navy officers,
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to cater to those that they haven't been financially strong, or they haven't been, or their finances are not, or their FICO score are not there, they will reach out for a mortgage broker like myself. Your listeners have to be careful, because not all mortgage brokers are ethical. They will do, or they will place business to whoever they place in the most. Mm-hmm. And that's what has separated me from the rest. I don't go and try to make, the max commission out of a client. It's not beneficial for them. I always try for them to meet like halfway with my borrowers. If they can afford the house and they want to buy a house, the first question I ask them is like, how much do you really pay? How much do you really afford? How much down payment do you have? And since your show is about money and chisme, I give you a few chismes, right? Right. Yes. Yeah. So right now we're getting a lot of clients, right? They everybody has credit cards. So they call me up and they're like, Lenin, we need we want to refinance our house, but they have the lowest possible rate in the industry. 2 years ago you were getting 2.5, 2.3, 2.7. I sing on the twos, and they don't want to lose that. And I'm like, okay, so how much money do you need? Oh, I need 100,000 to, and I'm like, 100,000. So how much credit card debt you have? And they're like, yeah, maybe 50. So what are you doing with the 50,000? Oh, I want to buy, something else, another. Mm-hmm. So what do I do for them, Violet? What I do is I don't touch the first. They have their lowest possible interest rate on history. Mm-hmm. A lot of unethical brokers or lenders, they will go ahead and refinance them out. They will refinance and mess up that great interest rate they were never, ever going to get. Mm-hmm. Just to please the client and for them to make a significant amount of commission.
Lenders are like trying to take advantage of like the people, trying to make the max commission, because like last fall, I was looking because I needed to take out some money and I had equity in this house. And like I have this house at 3.75, I think it is. And so I'm not trying to touch that, but every time like I would call or whatever, they're always like, oh yeah, cash out refinance. I was like, nope, I don't want that. I don't want that. We ended up getting like the just the second mortgage, but like the first year is fixed and then the second starts going into variable, right? And so like that's one of the things, and we plan to get rid of this one anyways. That's what they were doing, and we went through like probably at least 10 lenders where at first they were just like cash out refinance, and then we finally got this one. So I just wanted to point that out, that yeah, there's lenders out there that will still kind of like take advantage. And then we unfortunately had to do that one because I didn't have like another option at that time.
You didn't have me.
Yes, I didn't have you. That's why I'm like, why didn't I meet you before? And so now looking for the way out, which I don't think we're going to keep this house. Because eventually we're going to move to Texas. Gonna just, when we sell the house, it'll just cancel everything out.
Yes, right now there is a lot of different auctions, and that's what a mortgage broker could do for you. Mm-hmm. The mortgage payments, they might be a little bit too high. Mm-hmm. So the government came out, they have an incentive for, mm-hmm. The Biden administration, they want more people, to encourage people to buy. They have now a 40-year mortgage. You can do principal and interest only. So what does that mean? That means you can have access either to more capital by tapping into your equity, or you can have a lower payment. Why are you going to have a lower payment? Because your mortgage is 40 years, 10 years longer than the traditional 30 years that you have right now.
Okay.
So that's another thing that your listeners could take advantage. If they feel, oh my God, my mortgage is $3,500 a month. I wish I could, get it lower. They could refinance, or or you can also call your lender, whoever you have, and if they have FHA, it is called they have a streamline refinance. You either you eliminate the mortgage insurance, or you can move it to a 40-year loan. And a few lenders are doing it. The only way you can find those, either going through a mortgage broker like myself, or if your listeners, they could tell them, hey, I hear this broker, they could Google my name. The lenders will know who I am. And like, yeah, we have the 40-year program. Lenders don't want to advertise that because it's a longer commitment. And remember, they're not going to, the banks are in it to make money.
Yes.
So 40 years is beneficial to us.
So the 40-year mortgage, is that just for like properties that you're going to live in, or like, does it apply to investment properties as well?
We could do investment properties too.
Okay. Are you interested in real estate investing but feel that you don't have the resources, you don't even know where to start, or you're just intimidated by it because it sounds complicated? Well, that used to be me when I first started. I was overwhelmed. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I ended up making some costly mistakes. This is why I created my Real Estate Investing for Beginners course, which is a 6-week self-paced course that will walk you through understanding what real estate investing is and the many different ways that you can invest in real estate. I'm also going to walk you through how you can fund your investment, how to find and analyze properties, and how you can manage properties, and creating your 5-year investing plan so you can start real estate investing. Not to mention, this course includes a updated rental property calculator, checklists, and several other tools to help you in your real estate investing journey. So if this interests you, check out the link in the show notes or email me for more info.
And this is the one thing, Violet, when you were talking to me is, I do taxes, I do, real estate, I do mortgages, it's fully amortized. When it comes to investment, I'm going to ask you something. What's the only thing you can write off from your property? Let me give you a hint. Interest.
The interest.
Your interest. So you can get a 40-year interest only, right, for an investment property. And guess what, Violet? All that interest you're going to pay is tax deductible.
Gonna have to look into that one. That might be a different strategy that I start using now.
And remember, I'm not giving you legal tax advice, but
yeah,
you can run it through your...
Definitely research it, and make sure that it works for you, but it gets the wheels turning.
The tenants are paying the mortgage. So if you're getting interest only, it makes sense. This type of equation works for like triplex, fourplex, because, do you have enough cash flow coming in? There are plans that you can get a HELOC or a line of credit. It's called a second. You can pull a second on your house without touching the first. You can pay it back, and you can, indefinitely pull money out, in and out. Not a credit card, not a line of credit. It is a second. It's a HELOC. That's what I'm doing for my clients. And once we do it, you'll be surprised how grateful they are. They're like, oh my God, I went to all these lenders. I went to the bank. I went to, Bank of America, and everybody wanted to refinance. You know why, Violet? Because it's on their best interest. No one is looking out for us. And for us, I mean, nuestra comunidad, nuestra gente, You'll be surprised. A lot of Hispanics, they have cash. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of them don't put their money in the bank because we come from countries that it's corruption is horrible. So how do you lend money to our community when
Mm-hmm.
their financials are not there? Yes, I am getting something. The bank is paying me, but I don't have to exceed my fees. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go and take advantage of them. And that's advantage that you have talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
that we'll find a solution. There's
Mm-hmm.
always a way. And if I don't have the answer, Violet, I'm gonna go to my lenders, to my handbook, to my
Mm-hmm.
reference guy, and I'm gonna find out what is best for you. So
Okay.
I work for my clients. What is best for them.
Okay.
To me, after all these years, I live out of the referral business. 100% of my business is all referral.
Mm.
So I had to do what's right for you, and then
Yeah.
you be el buen trabajo se recomienda solo. And
Mm-hmm.
then you'll be like, hey, you know what, Lenny, help me out on this one. Boom, call him up. Because Violet, for me, the greatest reward has been, after you read my book,
Mm-hmm.
to live in the line of opportunity, to live in America, to have
Mm-hmm.
served, in the Navy. And I remember my shipmates, not a day goes by, that's the one thing we all wanted, to get
Mm-hmm.
out, buy a little house, settle down, have a family, and unfortunately, a lot of my shipmates were taking advantage. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of them, they were a scam on when they buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're young. Oh, but you have a steady salary. Boom, 21% interest rate on a brand new car. I'm like, what in the world?
That's true. You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they come and try to buy a house, I'm like, your debt to income ratio doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And then and my recommendation to them is, and to all my clients, what I've seen through my experience is, there's always a way out. You can always have enough money for a down payment. They are telling me, oh no, that's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is possible, because is they stop eating out. Violet, I used to be a heavy drinker, and you have no idea how much money I used to spend every weekend.
Yeah.
And when I stopped doing it, I was surprised. In 18 months, my whole life turned around. Cada salidita, cada
Mm-hmm.
invitadita, like, oh my God, and at the end, is for our benefit. And I'm glad you share your story, because right there you mentioned, they did a second, which is variable.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your financial situation is better than someone listening to your show, but
Mm-hmm.
what if someone else took that choice, and tomorrow they no longer have a job, or
Yeah.
something happened and they get injured, and they can't afford the payments?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're making a conscious decision. Oh yeah, I might sell the house, and I have other plans. But other listeners, maybe that's their only house that they could
Mm-hmm.
ever afford, or their whole family lives there, and they cannot afford to lose the house. And that's the purpose of my book, to make a decision, but not, oh, jeopardize my greatest assets, which is the house. If you want to become financially free, I honestly believe, you can do it either, having a restaurant, or you can do it by living off the rents. On my book, I share a story of a gentleman, JC. His father, when he passed away, had 42 houses, 42 rentals. He had multiple restaurants, but he died intestate. He died without a will.
Mm.
When JC reached out to me, he said he wanted to buy a house, and he mentioned what happened with his father,
Mm-hmm.
that he didn't inherit anything.
Oh wow.
There were nine brothers. They went to probate. They went to court. And the mother's still alive. And it was, but he knew the concept. he told me, you know what? I used to love my dad's face every first of the month. When you get to the point that all your mortgages, or what I call it, cash flow, when you have a positive cash flow every month. And see, my idea, my objective, is for everybody, to eventually become financially free. If they're listening to your show, to the chisme, it's like, hey, how about you spend a little bit of money buying? You don't have to buy a big house. Get a condominium, get something small that with the rent, they will pay off itself, that it will cover the association fees. On my book, I talk about that too. The bigger the house, the more expenses.
Yes, that's so true.
How about you buy a new house? Right now, there is a lot of brand new constructions. Do the numbers, do a duplex, triplex, and you will remember, my friend JC. He's like, wow, I want to do what my dad did. He's like, I wish my dad would have met you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. What matters right now, Violet, is that we're talking. That whoever is listening to you, that the message might get across to them, and you're doing the right things. You have a stable job. We always want something more. Rockefeller was asked once, well, Rockefeller, you're the richest man on earth. When is enough? What was his answer? A little bit more. We always want more. And I'm not talking about being greedy. It's just that we always want, we always want more.
Yeah.
I still drive my Corolla Toyota. I still have it. I have my other nice cars, my BMW, my Mercedes Benz. And people ask me, how come you haven't got rid of your Toyota? Which I bought off my friend. Yeah, the Lieutenant Motor, right? I bought it off for him. And people ask me, what are you doing with the old car? Why? You know why I keep the old car? Because the old car doesn't have a payment. I'm also trying to become, wealthy, to become, buy more properties. And to do that, you need capital. And how we're going to do it? Recognizing the opportunity and taking action. You'll be surprised how many people, Violet, have come to my office and they have this greatest idea, this greatest plan, and they never do anything. They just talk about it. And they're like, oh, my neighbor, oh, mi tío, oh, mi cuñado.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, since you're sitting with me, what's holding you up, I don't think I have the talent. No tengo los talentos. Because you're different. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I put my pants like everybody else. I go to the same restaurant,
With me, when people are asking me like, oh, how'd you start getting into real estate investing? I see you're doing good and everything like that. And I agree. It's the same idea of where they think it's because they don't have the talent. They lack that confidence. They think that they can't do it. And that's one of the things that también I'm over here telling them like, no, you can do it as well. Like, I'm just regular. Like, it's not something que, I'm not smarter than anybody or anything like that. I just took the time and I learned, trust myself and have the confidence in myself to take action and to just not be cautious, but not afraid to actually jump into it. And también, I have like a friend, matter of fact, Mora knows him too. And también he's like, wants to get into real estate investing, and he's been talking about it, he has the money, he has the ability and everything, but like he doesn't have that confidence to just like go for something, and no tiene plan, like I've already, talked to him and it's like, dude, like you have the motivation, you have the means, pero you just don't trust yourself. You're not trusting yourself to just go for it. And that's what's stopping you. And como you were saying, that's what stops a lot of people. And because they have this idea that you have to be someone special to get success, when, the only difference is, we just switched our mindset, like you were saying, to just, have that confidence to actually do it.
And that's one of the greatest challenge I found, that a lot of us lack the confidence to believe in ourselves. And I was one of them at one point. I couldn't believe it was possible. That was one of the greatest challenge to evolve, or on the civilian world, to learn to trust, other people. And when I started trusting everybody else, they were taking advantage. They would,
Yep.
and I put that on the book. They were
Mm-hmm.
ripping me off. They were opening companies with identical name I had, and I just couldn't believe it. There was no loyalty. Everybody was a cutthroat. You realize, Violet, if you're gonna do something different, you got to start with yourself. Michael Jackson said it. I put him on the book too. His son, the Man in the Mirror. Everything on my book is basically my biography. I wrote it for legacy for my oldest son, Angel. My book was for legacy. I wasn't trying to benefit or make a business out of it. I was just surprised, the just before I log in, I had like 2 calls of a gentleman in Riverside
Mm-hmm.
that he can identify with. He's an electrician.
Uh-huh.
On my book, I talk about a gardener, how unfair life was with him, and then when he sat down with me, we changed things around. And I am surprised the amount of people that have actually purchased my book. It's
Yeah.
Amazon is keeping is tracking the amount of
Uh-huh.
sales. Next week we should be coming up in Barnes and Nobles too. It's going to come out through Barnes and Nobles.
Oh, nice.
And then again, the secret sauce to success. It is a step-by-step mortgage broker, but in reality, is for any business venture you want to do. My brother, he's a head coach in Paris High School. He
Mm-hmm.
read the book. He's like, "Oh my God, you're my brother, and I had no idea. I'm using your methods, what you wrote in your book, and I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
Why not? We're brothers." And he's like, "I don't know. You think different, and I don't think it's. I think it's just keeping it simple and then discipline. How about you
Mm-hmm.
start writing down your goals? You'll be surprised. A lot of people, 10, 20 minutes. Now everybody's texting. Everybody is, oh, let me Google it. How about you take the time and write it down? When you decide, I want to grow my company, I have to go and knock doors. I have to talk to strangers. That's the first thing when I get up in the morning. On my book, I talk about it too. I do my affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
I am strong. You know, I could do this day by day, little by little. Día a
Yeah.
día mejora mis finanzas.
It's been seeing that, and I
Mhm.
hear it from people all the time. Like, there's nothing different. I'm not special. I'm not super talented.
Mhm.
I just trust myself, and and it took a while to get there. It's not
Mhm.
like I did it overnight. I had to slowly just challenge myself. And then even though I was scared, I was like, Sasuke, I'm just gonna go for it. And if I fail,
Yes,
I fail.
there we
Ni
go.
modo, I'll pick myself back up.
The first step is define the purpose. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't figured out, what am I going to do? Maybe he doesn't see the benefit of buying a house yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other, which is step number 3, is belief in yourself, letting go of fear,
Mm-hmm.
letting go of fear of the unknown. And remember, I was at a crucial point of my life
Mm-hmm.
with my kids, with my wife, without any income, in the wealthiest nation in the world. Think
Mm-hmm.
about it for a second. You know, that was a turning point for me because I was sitting on my couch and I remember that feeling. You have no idea. I'm sure someone gone through it. It's like an anxiety. I don't want to say like crying. I was just in shock that I
Mm-hmm.
was on that situation. And I was like, what do I do now? What do I do now? I will look at the stars and I will be like, God doesn't make trash.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm here on this earth, and I put this on the book, we are here to do great things, to trust yourself and move past that challenge. And once your friend decide, what does he wants to leave behind? We are
Mm-hmm.
not going to be here for eternity.
Mm-hmm.
The day is going to come. We're going to have to go. we're not getting out of here alive.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I could get you the money, I could get you the funding, you bring me the idea, we figure it out, I done deals from right there at the casinos. They buy the land, they
Hmm.
build the apartments, and they resell them.
Yeah.
You know, that's it's called, I believe, a land development.
Uh-huh.
You can do those. You don't have to go. You don't have to buy a house. If you have the capital, you can put it together. On my book, I talk about my dolphin story. I love dolphins. The nature or the universe has a way of protecting us.
Hmm.
You listeners, maybe you have one, maybe you have 1,000, maybe you have 10,000. The message is when I get to them, to that one person that is going to call you or is going to call me and be like, hey, you know what, Lennon? Este, how about you help me out? Yo tengo un IT, having IT numbers.
Hmm.
I don't, I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm not a resident. I'm all these negative things they're going to tell you why they cannot buy a house.
Hmm.
And I'm going to ask them, so why are you calling me? Oh, because I wish I could buy a house. So, okay, so you already took the first step, which
Hmm.
is calling me.
Hmm.
So now, what do you have? Oh, having IT, I have credit, and I have money.
Hmm.
Guess what? There are lenders that will lend to foreigners.
Hmm.
I have lenders that will lend money with people even without a visa because we, American, we need investors.
Yep.
We have Mexicanos, investing here. We have Canadians. We have people from Argentina. I
Hmm.
just ran into a client the other day. He's from Chile. He came up to me. He's like, you know what? I bought these properties. I want to buy more, and but I don't have a social security.
Hmm.
What do you have? Oh, I have my companies, or I have my IT. It's called employer ID number.
Hmm.
Yeah, we find you a lender. And that's what I'm getting, Violet. That's the difference of a mortgage broker. We
Hmm.
have the ability to find you the right financing. I had a pizza client the other day. He's like, you know what? I've been on my over there in Yoruba Valley. I uh, I need capital. I run out of money. Boom, we got in capital for his business. Be willing to find a solution.
Hmm.
There's always a solution. There's always the only solution we don't have is dying.
Yeah.
You know, as long as we're alive, we could do something. That's the secret sauce. The define what it is that you want.
Hmm.
What do you want to do? What do you want out of life? What do you want to experience?
Hmm.
You financially struggle. Let's fix it. Let's set up a plan. It's amazing. People, it's like self-love. You'd be surprised. You go to the medic or you go to the doctor, they prescribe you medicine. And
Hmm.
some people, they rather make sure their pets take the medicine properly, right?
Hmm.
Than them taking the medicine correctly.
Hmm.
I'm like, I was surprised. I'm like, oh my God, I do that all the time. I have my little Barisach, my big old Chihuahua.
Uh-huh.
I take care of him, the grooming and everything. And then, every time, like a relative gets sick and I notice they're not taking the medicine. I'm like, why not?
Hmm.
Que me cae mal la medicina, que, the doctor tried to poison me, que me dio too much, and I'm like, oh, wow. So we rather take care of our pets than ourselves.
Hmm.
How about we start like, take care, treating ourselves. En español decimos pampering, right? Like,
Hmm.
how about you go to the manicure, you go to the pedicure, right? You're taking care of yourself.
Hmm.
You buy. When was the last time you bought something nice for yourself?
Hmm.
When was the last time you bought it doesn't have to be something expensive. The other day, I went to watch the movies by myself, and then
Hmm.
my wife and the kids is like, how come you went by yourself, Dad? It's like, because I needed that time, me and me alone.
It's exactly the same. Because I do it all the time. Like, forget.
Yeah,
Especially I get so focused on like, because I'm still in the Navy, and so then I'm doing that, and then I get home and I have to do like, many cheese man, try to do the blog and the podcast and all that, and then I just like me is always last. So for those that do want to work with you and get in contact with you, like where can they reach you?
I have my cell phone number. I have my email too. I can give it to you.
Okay.
323-272-7320. And I
If
do answer my phone calls. Text is always best. My email, which is my first name, Lenin, like Edward,
mhm.
Espinoza at Gmail.
Well, thank you so much for coming onto my podcast and sharing some of your secret to success. I'm excited to read the book and learn like just what some of the things you mentioned, especially my favorite is the positive thinking followed by action. I love that. So, definitely excited to read it. I'll make sure to link it below. So make sure y'all go and check out his book, and it's not just like you said, it's not just about mortgage broker. It's just some life lessons, some life advice, and that could help you in whatever you want to accomplish in life, and just start taking action and have the confidence in yourself. But yes, thank you so much for, joining me today, and I will see everyone in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and share so others may find this podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at info.moneychisme@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias that are listed below. Hasta la próxima. Bye.